6:30, and we have a quorum. I will call the meeting of the Conservation Commission for December 19th in order, and we are open. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our December 5th meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We have a new public hearing, 359 Pleasant Street. Okay, I will read it into the record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended, and the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing December 19th, 2017, in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, for a notice of intent filed on behalf of Kevin Griffin to develop a commercial site within 100 feet of a bordering vegetated wetland at 359 Pleasant Street. And we are open. Yeah. Green cards?
Green cards.
Green cards. Once I get those, I will get this pile of stuff put away and, alrighty.
Okay, hello folks, my name is Tom Psirski from Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors in Hanover. We're here before you tonight, before SE file number 3280741. He has issued a file number with no comments on it. Basically, the proposal consists of redeveloping the existing developed storage facility on site here. A lot of the buildings are getting rather old. They're in need of repair, so he's just gonna replace most of them. There's 3 of them that are gonna be preserved. The wetlands is properly delineated. You have a full wetlands report with data sheets on it. You can see this is the bordering vegetated wetland here. This is the limit of the 50-foot buffer zone. Here's the 100-foot buffer zone here. Under existing conditions, you have several storage facilities and 2 stormwater basins that basically provide no treatment. I completed soils. John witnessed the soils on site. We've completed them in the vicinity where we could of the existing stormwater facilities. The only area we couldn't is right here because of the overgrowth. So what the applicant is proposing is a DEP compliant stormwater system. It complies, the portions that are existing completely with the redevelopment portion of being maximally feasible compliant. There are some small areas in the back here where we're adding building here, and we're adding a fire safety turnaround here for fire access in case a fire truck needs to get in here, turn around and come back around. We're doing the best that we can, where we can, to segregate the roof runoff and put it into drying wells. And basically, the stormwater treatment system will include stone line, pea stone swales, grass swales, rain gardens, and sediment traps before the stormwater basins. And then both main basins will have overflow devices put in there to control the peak rates of discharge. Now, to install some of these stormwater measures will require us to take out some of the pavement. So we're gonna skinny up the pavement here. So the end result is the peak rate of discharge is less after construction. That's basically it. You can see we have the erosion controls proposed here. We're gonna repave the parking lot, regrading, because we're pretty well stuck with the existing, we need to flow downhill, and we need to keep things so we can keep the stormwater flowing towards the existing basins or the treatment measures as best as we can. The one other thing the client did do is he did send me something that I saw just yesterday, and I just had a chance to take a look at it today, is these 2 large buildings here are climate control buildings. And he hasn't determined if there's gonna be a need for those. So what he would like to consider doing is have the option, it doesn't increase the footprint, it doesn't increase the stormwater requirements, or perhaps putting in 3 buildings that are non-climate control in lieu of the other 2. And I understand that, we may have to continue this and get more copies for that reason, if that option is deemed to be in excess of what we're proposing here. So I'll be happy to entertain any questions or comments, and this is a dual filing for the notice of intent and general stormwater permit.
So all the buildings are gonna be taken down except for the three,
That's correct.
and now with the exception of these two climate controlled, the rest of the ones are gonna be the same size?
Exactly, yep.
Is there a pitch to the roof?
Yes.
Does the square footage of the roof the square footage of the roof increase?
No, I think that actually, they're gonna be about the same.
Really?
With a substitute. It's
Okay.
gonna add that.
So there wouldn't be any additional flow on the,
Well, it's not gonna increase the flow off-site because, it's all paved anyways, so you're
Okay.
talking paved or a roof,
okay.
And they're gonna be used for the same purpose, right? Just storage for
just dry storage.
whatever.
Mhm.
Did you get your letter from Natural Heritage?
No, we did not yet.
Yeah.
And just so you know, if you look at the endangered species mapping, and there's an extract here, the parking lot is the only part of the site, this area that's not mapped as endangered species. But right behind it is, so we have a little bit of a sliver here that looks like, in my opinion, it looks like it falls in it, so we filed with National Heritage.
And you have in the green cards, a receipt of
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, we should have everything in there.
Okay, good.
I mean, at this point, it looks like it's an improvement to what's there, without increasing the footprint. And putting in the stormwater management
The
system.
buildings are just getting bad to,
Yeah, they just seem that they've outlived their life, I
are
think.
they all metal?
Yeah, yeah.
How long have those been there?
Since, I think, the seventies.
Have they been there
Yeah,
that long?
quite a while. It's been there a long time. The early seventies,
I didn't realize it was that long.
quite a while.
Anybody in the audience, questions, comments?
I have one question. No, I don't.
There's nothing there now for runoff for the sides, for the parking lot?
It basically peaks down the middle drive
It just sheds
and
off.
sheds off into two retention basins off to the side. So we're gonna do some regrading to get it into as much as we can into the treatment measures.
So you're just gonna improve the whole lot?
Plus pavement and more stormwater treatment.
Snow removal?
I don't think it's really necessary. They can push it off to the sides. I just would recommend a special condition that there be no snow removal or stockpiling the stormwater treatment measures, which is fairly standard for something like this. And I think that's pretty easy to accomplish because most of these measures are on the outside of the fences, so they wouldn't be stockpiling the treatment measures as well.
Okay.
All right, other than waiting for the letter,
I do wonder if the commission is interested in having some type of restriction put on the 50-foot buffer. The only reason I mention that is the owner or previous owner, I don't know if it's changed hands, but in the past has encroached out towards the wetland by parking vehicles out there and so forth. So I would feel more comfortable with some type of conservation easement on that where it will not be disturbed unless, of course, there's an emergency of some sort. But I just find that sometimes if it's the same owner or continuation of the same use, which would imply to any new owner we can go out there and use that area. Do you have any thoughts on that, Tom?
Yeah, typically, we do a lot of times is we'll put pressure treated posts with placards on it, conservation area, restricted area up, and we can put those every 50 feet on the back if you'd like.
Is there a fence along the back?
There is, it's locked. It's a brand new fence. The one thing the client would like to do, and he has to do anyways, is he wants to do some vista pruning to get everything 5 feet away from the brand new fence. I have no idea how, when he bought it as part of the condition of buying it, they had to put a new fence up, and they put a brand new fence up, but they didn't do any trimming to get the trees away.
So when
They
did
only did it all from the inside.
So when did he put the fence up?
What's that?
When did he put the fence up?
They put it up within this past year.
Nothing came in front of us.
I know, and our client didn't own it then, so. It looks like they put it back in place where the existing fence was, on the back.
So, you're talking about along the stormwater management?
Pretty
stream?
much, yeah, around the stormwater areas that
It's
allow them access for the fence, and also if they have to maintain the stormwater structures, they
Just a
can.
poodle on the back.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with that.
No. Anybody else, any other questions?
No.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to continue to the next meeting until we get all the letters
Okay.
in.
I'll make the motion.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So move.
And the next meeting will be,
January 2nd.
do you require, how many copies of the optional plan would you like?
2, and then send it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a nice Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too. Next on the agenda, we have 61 Ash Street, continued.
Good evening. For the record, George Collins from Collins Civil Engineering Group, here on a multiple continued hearing, 61 Ash Street for a septic upgrade. Essentially, we have a Board of Health approved plan, which is the plan dated 7/24/17 with no revision dates. And then further request of the commission, I was asked to look into some sort of advanced treatment for the site. So I did look at I did prepare a plan, which is this plan here, which is the same plan but with the revision of, revision 1 of 9/6/17. Incorporating the Presby design. It was my understanding at the end of that meeting that we were looking for, the commission was looking for an active treatment system with some sort of a singular or a fast system, rather than a passive treatment system like there is on the Presby. And then in the interim, I went to the Board of Health and presented the Presby proposal. And because of the operation and maintenance implications, the Board of Health did not want to impose any long-term financial hardship on the applicant. I do have two people I'd like to introduce. Is Sheila Hashem. She had actually been attended previous meeting. She's the owner, and excuse me if I'm mistaken, but I believe Sheila's she's disabled at home on a fixed income, and And then the other person that's here is John Cruz, the chairman of the Board of Health. And basically, we're kind of deadlocked here. The Board of Health wants to go with the original plan with no advanced treatment, which is a simpler system. We do have our 5-foot water table separation that's required, so we're not asking to be closer to the groundwater. We are not in a water protection district, we're not in an area of critical environmental concern, and we are not in natural heritage jurisdiction. So it's my opinion that had we been in any of those areas, perhaps supplemental treatment would be warranted, especially if it was a drinking water protection district. It is in none of those categories. And basically, it is my position, and Mr. Cruz can speak for himself, that we do not want to increase cost upfront or long-term to the applicant. The applicant is not moving. They have a big wet sewage spot in their backyard that's been there since the summer, and we just want to get the system fixed at reasonable costs and not, this is already a $45,000 septic system without the advanced treatment. And you're looking at another 7 or 8 upfront for treatment with long-term operation and maintenance implications, which,
And 90% of this system is within the 50-foot, 85 to 90?
yeah, essentially 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, and then I don't know if Mr.
Yeah.
Cruz wants to,
Before you get started, I want to ask a question.
Yep.
I don't recall, or let me ask it a different way. The plan that's up there on the easel right now, wasn't that approved by the commission?
no, well, nothing was approved.
No,
We've
I
con-
understand.
We've continued this,
But
no,
they,
the Presby?
yes, you presented that, and I think the commission was comfortable with that.
Yes, actually, it's been so long, and then I think what I did is I went back to the Board of Health to get it approved, and they did not want anything that required permanent operation and maintenance.
So when you mentioned that the commission wanted, after presenting that plan, you stated tonight that the commission wanted still more advanced treatment.
Yeah, that was my understanding, that we still
Don't
wanted like
recall
a
it
fast
that way.
system. No?
No, I mean, initially, when you
Yeah.
presented the Board of Health approved plan, the commission asked for advanced treatment. You went back to your office and like the next day presented an electronic copy to me showing the Presby and wondered if that would do it. And I said that I would recommend that to the commission. I think you made that presentation using the Presby at the next meeting, and the commission was okay with it, except for, I think you wanted a continuance so that you could go back to the Board of Health.
To be honest with you, it's been such a long process, and we've done like 4 or 5 continuances. It was my understanding that you still wanted you wanted active treatment, and you were not comfortable with the Presby. That was my understanding.
Does the commission members? agree?
But ultimately, I brought it back to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health said that they wanted to stick with the regular septic system that I had originally presented.
Without the Presby?
Yes. Which again, that is a DEP approvable plan, it meets Title V with meeting local upgrade approval requirements. And I understand your job is to protect the wetland, and we're within the 50-foot buffer, but, that the Presby product does require annual, maintenance. It does cost more money to put in. I would think it's a couple $1,000s more to install, and it does have the permanent operation and maintenance requirements.
And the cost difference if you were to move the pole plant outside of the 50-foot? If we were to say,
It'd be about $100,000 system.
Okay.
Because the footprint increases by about 400%.
Right. We're looking for a little bit of trade-off here, and that's why we had recommended going with a little more of an advanced system from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, but
Looking
it's
at all the impervious surface that's already existing within that 50-foot, you've got a garage, and now you're gonna put in a septic system for a 6-bedroom house, and we were looking for a little bit more. There's just no mitigation that can be offered beyond what there is. I mean, it's a tough site. It's not an easy fix,
But it's a big house though, too.
and it's a very big house.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Thank you, and through to your members. Obviously, we're concerned about the environment just as well. That's what Board of Health is all about, to protect the groundwater. But then again, we have to be fair and equitable to the homeowner. I think spending $45,000 on a system is huge. I think spending an additional 5 to 6 or whatever it may be is an additional burden, an unfair burden, I might say, to the homeowner. And then to add on top of that, $1,000 or maybe $2,000 a year in annual maintenance and upgrades. And then who supervises it? What happens if the system doesn't get maintained? Board of Health responsibility. I think what's fair is to agree with something that we can all agree. I mean, I think a $45,000 system obviously is enough. Again, this is a repair. This isn't a new system. It's a repair. We've heard the cost, we've heard the issues with the woman, the homeowner that's involved. This is be fair and equitable. My letter sent your board a letter today about referencing, I believe it was 280 South Main Street, and how the edge of that system was 10 feet from the wetland
Yeah,
flag.
but that
This
was,
system, as we know, is 22.
that's somebody else, that's another
doesn't
piece
matter.
of property.
Let's be consistent. Let's be consistent when you make a decision. We're consistent on the Board of Health.
So if this fails, who is responsible for it? And then in a couple of years?
And
Who's
again,
responsible
And it
now?
doesn't maintain it?
Who's responsible now? The homeowner.
I understand. So if it fails in a couple of years because it's not maintained right, who pays for it?
That's why we should go with the system that doesn't need the advanced treatment, that doesn't need the yearly maintenance. Especially a system that's already approved by DEP. Let's be fair. This can happen to anybody in the room. This
Well, we're
can
just
happen to
looking at
any of
we're looking at
4,000
wrong
homes in
time
town.
though, too.
It can happen to anyone. Anybody in town can be facing a 45, and to some, it's an insurmountable amount of money that they can't overcome, and they would probably leave the house vacant. Then what happens? Then what happens? We don't want to leave that. We want to obviously protect the environment, we want to protect the groundwater, and we also want to be fair to the homeowner, the taxpayer.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind,
No.
John. We were discussing mitigation. I have not discussed or even proposed any just conventional mitigation, and I don't know whether this is something that we can even negotiate tonight. But, there is pavement right beside the garage within the 50 that could be possibly removed and just vegetated, or we could do some plantings behind the fence, just some sort of enhancement.
again, I'm not worried about either design currently failing in a short term with, I believe, 2 or 3 tenants in the house, not a 6-bedroom house. I'm just worried that whatever happens in 5, 6, 7 years, God forbid somebody has to sell the house and move in, and now you have a 6-bedroom house with
Full.
12 people living in it, and that system getting way overloaded and more than what we expected, and who's responsible for the failure there, and where can we protect it? And looking where we are, knowing the current conditions on Ash Street, knowing what hearings we've already been through on Ash Street, everybody in that neighborhood's concerned with groundwater and the water table and what's there. We were just looking for one way to come up with something different that was a little bit more, but without putting a huge financial burden of saying, you gotta stay out of it, or you gotta come up with something that has more treatment.
Can I ask a question?
John?
You stated the cost of the approved system and the cost of the Presby system. What were the two numbers again?
I don't have real numbers, but I'm thinking it's a couple $1,000s more for
So
the
we're only
Presby.
talking about a couple.
Yeah, whereas if you did a fast system, I think those numbers are somewhere around $7,000 for the unit. I don't have hard numbers on that.
Okay.
I think we're concerned about the annual upkeep and that it does get maintained. I think that's the question that I'm pushing out there, that we're concerned about that if it doesn't get followed through, if there is an issue. How will that affect the efficiency of the system?
What's the cost for it? Do you
I-
have any idea?
I believe it's a few thousand bucks a
No,
year.
it depends on who does it, really.
An idea, rough idea?
I would say between $800 and $1,200 a year, if I were to guess. They have to inspect it, they have to collect water samples, they have to bring them to a lab and submit a report. So, it could,
Forever.
like, if I did it, it would be like $2,000. If a Title V inspector did it, it might be $1,000. I don't know. It depends on who does it.
But it's forever, it'll never end, it'll never cease, it'll continue on.
Well, if I may chime in too, actually, the minimal maintenance you want, that is required on a septic system, the better off you are, to be honest with you. And our Presby systems and all these alternatives, if the person doesn't have the money, and they're broke, like I am broke all the time, they're not gonna pay anybody to come out there. So that groundwater separation that you've gotten for the Presby system then doesn't work. So the minimal maintenance that is involved or required, the better off you are. And actually, I was involved in the Presby system in the Ashby, Mass. And they get $1,500 minimum to do that.
And I know it's not I think it's a big deal, but I use 2 compartment tanks on every system that I do, which is not required. And I think, and that's like the tank is an extra $400, and it's nice, simple, literally, just a nice, simple, double settling setup, which increases the effluent quality substantially, but it's in the most fundamental way possible. So, I want this to last a long time. I have an oversized filter on the outlet, and I know those aren't recognized as advanced treatment, but in my opinion, it absolutely is treatment. It's sort of like having 2 oil filters in line, and from what a lot of the people that are doing maintenance on the systems are telling me, that second compartment is very, very clean, and then you get the settling beyond that. So the 2 compartment tanks are very, very effective in providing treatment, although it's not recognized as advanced treatment.
I'd like to ask a question. Were you involved in 280 South Main Street?
280 South Main Street, yes.
What was the system that you designed for that one? Because the commission asked to have something more than just.
I think that was the regular Presby. I don't remember it being, because I don't even know if the Presby Advanced Enviroseptic existed at that point. That came out afterwards,
So,
which I think it's the advanced one that has the operation and maintenance requirement and is recognized as secondary treatment.
John, Casper references in our letter, if it's a Presby Enviroseptic, not the advanced, on 280 South Main. So just in summary, I think we're concerned about the what we've heard from an independent engineer in terms of the requirements, the maintenance that's required, and the lack of maintenance, how that can affect the system. And I think that we need to look at that benefit. or
I can
lack.
check with Presby and find out what their costs are, or people that are licensed.
For maintaining
So
them?
I could present that at the next meeting.
For maintaining them?
Yeah. I mean, I know we've had input here, but
Anybody else have anything, questions?
No.
And then just
I just-
just the practicality of, this would have already been in the ground if we could have come to some consensus a couple of months ago. And we
I
don't.
mean, we understand that you have nowhere else to
And we
put this
don't-
on the site, between everything that's paved, the deck, the pool.
No, I know.
I mean,
but
it's,
trying
you're
to
up against
establish
it, but,
You're right.
plan.
I mean, and I feel the hardship financially, but
It
that
can happen to
isn't,
anybody in town.
and I understand that, and that is not our primary goal of what our job is to do,
Well, I
is look
think you're
at the
setting
money.
the precedent tonight
I
by not
mean-
allowing the relief that will be opening up to more and more people that will be coming in front and requesting.
And one thing I would like to, I think I mentioned it before, is I do a lot of engineering in West Bridgewater, and I've done septic designs in 90 towns in Mass. And when I go to sell projects, I would like to be able to reference a policy that is a written policy, so I can tell them, okay, well, if we're within the 50, conservation is gonna make you do advanced treatment. so what if you're gonna require this, I would like some written policy that I can reference when I am marketing my engineering services, cause I was essentially caught off guard by this. So, that would be one recommendation by me, regardless of how this gets hammered out. And that policy, in my opinion, there should be some interaction between the conservation and Board of Health, because it's one of the same. If you're doing a septic system within the 50, you're gonna be looking for advanced treatment at
I
least.
mean, we also normally look for mitigation, and this site just couldn't offer it. So that was one of the reasons we were looking to protect what we could to the maximum benefit without financially burdening it. I mean, the garage shouldn't have ever been there realistically under the wetland, our bylaw. The paved area shouldn't have been, and you can't make that disappear. So you're taking the only other area within the 50 foot that you have to work with, and now that's no longer a protected area because you've put the septic system in it. So I mean,
Well, it's
we're in a tough spot.
It's an existing
I mean,
lawn, it's an
it's,
existing lawn area.
right, but it's lawn, it's not a leach field, it's not a septic system, it's not,
Yeah, but
I
there is a
mean-
leach field that's sitting right in the groundwater, right?
How
now.
long has the
Which-
Frisbee advanced system been out? You said
I think
what,
the
280
advanced
was-
less than 10 years. and
So
then
when was the
regular-
280 done? On 280
South Main Street.
South Main Street, when was that done?
I don't know.
You don't know when you did it?
I don't know off the top of my head.
5 years ago or so.
5 years ago, you said it wasn't, you don't think it was even existed then?
Oh, the Frisbee has updated their,
Oh, it's updated?
yes.
Their,
Okay.
the
in
DEP
advance.
approvals have been modified. And at one point, they weren't recognized, and now they are recognized. And
Okay.
they've also changed their operation and maintenance requirements.
So they've changed things too,
Every couple of years, they,
to have to, I mean, we're just trying to look at the better way to help the environment and try not to
yeah.
hurt the homeowner, but,
The regular standard plan without advanced treatment
no,
meets state code
no, I understand, but now what happens if like 2 years down the road, we're not saying that she's gonna move or anything like that, but like Chairman said, you don't know what's gonna happen within a couple of years. If she can't afford to stay there, or for some reason, not just because of the septic system, but just being in the house itself, I'm not saying that that's the situation,
Can I say something?
what happens? Just so we don't get,
I don't
blamed?
plan on leaving, and my house is being paid for.
oh, yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, you don't know what's gonna happen in the future. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future if this,
yeah.
You
so,
know, I went through a divorce, and in the divorce, the house was given to me, and he's responsible for the mortgage, not me, but I'm responsible for everything else.
no, we understand
I
that.
don't plan on leaving, never planned on leaving. I live in West Bridgewater, been here my whole life, pretty much.
Mhm.
Brought my kids up in this town. I don't wanna live anywhere else. I don't know if that's, I know I can't guarantee that to you, I can guarantee that to me. I can only,
I can say that to you too myself. I mean, I've lived here all my life, and I don't know what's gonna, who knows what
Nobody knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you don't-
So
you
it's
just
part
don't
of
know.
the
That's what I'm saying, so-
Right.
we're just trying to look at what's gonna happen
amount
Right.
of burden
in the future, that's all.
The burden that's gonna be on me is huge. And I feel that the system that they presented and approved from the beginning, I think it would be very fair to go with that system. I think it's extremely unfair to not go with that system.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm trying to look at this objectively, because I've been working in this town for a long time, would be to approve the original plan. I know, looking at the fact that I do have a 2-compartment tank, I know that's not an advanced treatment, and then I would really like to see some sort of a policy developed between the Board of Health and Conservation Commission that I can follow. At this point, I bring in something that's approved by the Board of Health, and I had, no expectation to think that it wouldn't be approved by the Conservation Commission, but obviously that's not the case. If I had a written policy, or even at this point, I know I've actually already started doing that with my new proposals, in West Bridgewater saying that the Conservation Commission may require advanced treatment because of this project. The last 12 years that I've been in this town, I didn't do that because I didn't have to, because I had no expectation to think otherwise. So, I'm not trying to play hardball, I need to have expectations so I can project those expectations to my customers and not get caught off guard with something like this. Or perhaps I should have thought about it more clearly, but I didn't.
John, do you have anything else?
Nope.
Just trying to think of what we could do is,
Like I said, other
I
than
mean,
your-
moving the pavement out, replanting that, vegetating it,
Remove the
doing, I
garage?
mean, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, take down the garage.
That's not practical.
Okay.
Let's be real.
Oh, no,
No, I mean,
we're not
we-
trying to be,
Taking down the garage is real?
okay, whatever.
Well, if you remove the pavement,
We've gotta remove.
but plant, I mean,
the-
I'm just looking as options. I mean,
You
I
know, but the pavement is to the left.
mean,
Yeah, I
it's,
mean, we could remove pavement here, like on the line, right in the 50-foot buffer, and then maybe do some plantings along, or
Well,
something.
maybe we should just say, go ahead and do whatever you wanna do.
That'd be even better.
Yeah, make the vote.
You guys decide, and so we
It's
don't have the,
approving.
so
This
we
is-
don't have the, any say in it then.
We're not saying that.
Let's just be fair and equitable, how about
We
that?
understand, we're trying to.
$45,000 for a system for this poor woman, you've heard her story. Let's be fair, we're all concerned about the environment, we're all concerned
but
about.
the $45,000 system is what's required for a
It's a
six-bedroom house.
repair.
What
This
was
is a
the-
repair. These people have lived there for who knows how long. Previous decisions have been made that have affected the size of the house, the footprint of the building. Let's be fair.
What's the cost of the approved system? Your Board of Health approved system, what is the cost of that?
That was like the 45,000.
That's 45, right? And then you said that the Presby would be a couple of thousand more.
Plus the.
Plus the maintenance.
47 plus another 1,000 a year for maintenance.
To some, that's a lot of money. $1,000 a year.
It is a lot of money, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying it isn't.
And I've offered to verify that maintenance. So you could continue the hearing to get that data, or you could vote tonight.
Honestly, we're poised, if this gets, I apologize, John, we're poised to, if this gets approved tonight, would be to get the system in the ground before this, before field conditions prevent us from doing so. We'd like to do this now, otherwise, if we go to next month, but if we think that the extra time is warranted to get extra information, that's fine. And the reason, and again, John mentioned that I requested continuances. The continuances were based off of interaction with my client and just, we were trying to figure out a strategy. So, we, I guess effectively, I did put us in this timeline, but it's just, we're poised to, if this gets closed out, like I said, we could do some supplemental conditions, removing that pavement within the 50, doing some plantings as supplemental conditions, and then approve the plan the way it is tonight, or we can get some extra information and come back in a few weeks. And I apologize, I didn't mean to shut you off, John. Cut you off.
So I guess, the question I had, to try to correlate the numbers being thrown out tonight, it appears that the approved Board of Health plan is a 45,000 roughly cost, and that the Board of Health approved plan does not show any mitigation whatsoever for intruding into the 50-foot no-touch buffer. And the Concom approved, or not officially approved, but recommended plan using the Presby is a couple of thousand more plus yearly maintenance, which we haven't determined what that amount is for sure. And that in itself would be enough mitigation to justify granting the variance that you need to grant under your bylaw. So just to try to keep things in perspective here, it's not that much more, and it's a form of mitigation. We go with the plan approved by the Board of Health, there's no mitigation whatsoever.
My opinion, the whole project is mitigation. Us taking a failed septic system that's in the groundwater right now,
How far away from the wetlands?
I mean,
The existing?
the existing system, you know, you have a tank and then there's a cesspool right in the middle of the yard, right, basically right at the 50.
And how close is the approved septic system to the wetland?
22.
Yeah, 22 feet. You know, and, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I just can't understand how there can be discussion at 22 feet when you guys allowed 280 South Main Street to go within 10 feet.
With advanced treatment.
No, it wasn't advanced, it was just the
Had a Presby, didn't it?
I think
Yeah, the
it-
Presby.
I
This
think
is
it was
An
the
older
same
system.
version of it,
But it wasn't
but-
the advanced.
That was the, no, it was the standard,
The standard Presby,
Presby.
and that's 10 feet from the wetlands.
And that was a commercial
So
application
could
in
you,
fill.
could you revise your plan to be just a regular Presby over here?
Yes, but that is not recognized as advanced treatment by DEP, so, but I guess we could do that.
No, I don't see any sense in it, but I just wondered.
Yeah, yeah, we could do the standard Presby.
The system's in failure, it's a repair.
And we could have this, you know, fixed in a few weeks, it could be in the ground by the middle of January. But, you know, again, I'm just presenting,
How often is it being pumped now in failure? Or it's not?
I have been pumping it, yes.
you have or have not,
I have.
you have, yeah.
There's another cost.
So the cost of the 45,000 for the Board of Health, that's a set
It's not for
automatic?
the Board of Health, it's a
I mean,
Board of Health approved
approved,
system.
I mean,
Board of
Board of
system.
Health / DEP approved system.
That's
Is-
a
that's
price.
a price, it's set, that you can't do, nothing can be done with
I
that.
mean, unless, they've selected a contractor and
So, I mean, there's no,
I don't, what, the contractor charge them less, I don't know, I'm not in a position to comment on that.
who's the contractor, do you know?
I believe it's Tom Snell's gonna do one.
Yeah.
Did you get any prices different from anybody else? Or did you just go for one price from a contractor? Did you just get one price from one contractor, or did you contact anybody else?
No.
You just got one price?
Yeah, friends of the family.
I was more concerned with the system was failed and having health issues and my dog going out in the yard and, you know, neighbors.
Oh, okay, I was just wondering if he,
Things like that, so the minute I knew it was failed, I called them and I thought, this needs to be fixed immediately.
okay.
And we started right on it.
Looking at the area beside the garage, if the pavement's removed and there's
That's what I
a
was wondering.
enhanced wetland planting put in there with X amount of vegetative plants, and that becomes a do not touch permanent replication spot.
So what is that paved area? How many square feet? I'm trying to.
Probably 20 by 40, so it's about 800 square
800
feet.
square feet.
You can't do anything with the garage, that's gonna be lawn no matter what. And then we just have to roll the dice.
You know what we could also, you know, would probably make sense would be to move this conservation
What
post
are we here for?
Further on.
right to the corner.
Where's the entrance to that garage?
It's right here. Oh, that's the garage doors are right here, facing out.
And you mentioned something about plantings?
Yeah, I mean, well, between George and us, we could come up with a planting plan and plant that out and,
I mean, we could probably remove that pavement and do a little wetland mix, and then maybe put 6 or 8 high brush blueberry bushes along the wetland line, probably right behind the fence. Just, it's something that we could, put in the narrative. That, in the order of conditions narrative, if John thinks that's appropriate.
Do that,
There's
take
a
a chance.
jog in the building?
I mean, it's,
It's a tough site.
it's
just-
where,
Looks like it, yeah.
I mean, it's just so overdeveloped that it doesn't leave anything to, I mean, they just, like you said, they're gonna have to make a system 4 times the size if they take it out of the 50 foot.
Yeah.
How old's the house?
Old house.
And you mean the from like original?
Yeah.
I mean, that system wasn't designed from the get-go, right, so,
Yes.
I mean, it just,
How much,
Maybe 80.
and how old's the, just the garage? How long's that been there?
The garage is
Same.
probably 28 years.
that was put up illegally to begin with. Because the Wetland Protection Act was already, and our bylaw had already been passed.
George, what are these areas here? This area?
I think it's like a non-paved strip. I don't know if it's grass.
Same with this?
I think that's a concrete apron in the front.
This is concrete?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to see if I have any photos of that. So it's a possibility that that might even be a concrete apron on that side. But basically, we could remove all the impervious on this side. And if that happens to be a concrete apron, that would actually bump that area up probably closer to 1,000 square feet.
The homeowner should know. Do you have any,
Sorry?
do you have any explanation of what those concrete aprons are
What, in the front of the house?
on the garage?
On the garage?
Is there anything parked behind the garage currently?
No.
No? Okay.
You mean on the side, there's like a little bit of concrete?
Yeah, what's the purpose of that?
I think at the time he just did it so that he could put stuff on there, part of his business, instead of it being in the grass.
Yeah, I have some photos, but they don't really show that at all.
How big is the garage?
I think it's 30 by 40.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah,
As far as thinking.
that's what I was looking at, saying, okay, if we took, it went up here and then went off here at an angle,
Yeah, but
and
it's
remove
like
that
now,
pavement, and that would prevent the parking. Just looking at if you were to take this and then just go up
this
at an
pavement.
angle here, so you could still have access in and out, but removed some of the, as a possible option. I mean, I'm throwing stuff out here.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the first batch is in the 50, which is ultimately
Yeah,
what
I mean,
we're
this
trying to
is
mitigate.
the area that I'm looking at that's back here,
Yeah,
that's
but
past
the
the,
first batch is in the 50, but you won't take any more other than
I
that?
can't remember.
I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure how long ago these were
We're
taken.
at, we're
I
trying
don't know, I
to,
don't think
Remember-
any of it's necessary, and I think this should have been approved a while ago, in
okay,
my opinion.
Conservation easement.
And we're just trying to come up with some middle ground, that's all.
all around it.
Yeah, I mean, oh, because the property line goes back to here. Anyways, it looks like. This is above ground anyways. What's above the 60 foot?
Conservation easement,
Through the west of it.
forget about the pavement, just cut it off here.
Just cut it off there, remove all of this, plant that, vegetate
Plant
it.
that, and we'll specify what the plants are. I think this can be left that way.
That's grass anyways, right?
Yeah, this is grass already, but if we vegetate this, plant it, and then, like you said, a conservation easement on the rest of the property, so nothing will be,
You know, you put that conservation post here,
yeah,
so it'll be left and right, when you pull up, you'll see
right,
two
so it'll
posts.
go back around the garage and,
This is gonna be about 4 feet high, right?
Up 5,
Graded with grass on it
yes.
and not be mowed? The mow at all?
I don't think that would
Or leave it?
make too much
Yeah,
difference.
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
So basically, everything behind the garage is wetlands, so we can't use it anyway, so I think one thing that they might want us to do is prepare call the whole rest of the conservation easement or
What do you think?
conservation area, which it already is, that they would just want, the normal practices they do is they want us to
If they
prepare a
give us
little
the
exhibit
800
showing-
square foot,
agreeing that it's all.
it's a concession.
behind
Yeah,
it.
So-
I mean, it's about all they've got there that they can
Yeah.
do.
Unless, of course, you
They
take
have
an
it
angle
documented.
up through that pin or whatever, but there again, we're getting out of the,
Right,
yeah, so.
The other day, like I said.
And Tim, I explained to her about the conservation easement, I told her it's, you know, it's conservation land that you can't use anyways, plus that 50-foot strip beside, and so we have no objections to removing the pavement. We can do a wetland seed mix in there, move that one conservation post, and then make the whole rest of the site.
It won't be a conservation seed mix, it'll be a planting,
Okay.
so we'll spell it out in the order of condition,
Okay.
if the commission votes that way.
I'm okay with this system, I'll tell you that.
We have much of a choice.
all right, I'll entertain a motion to issue the order conditions as we've discussed the changes to the plan.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, well, thank you for your time.
What's
Thank
the
you.
date on that plan, the Board of Health approved?
7/24/17, with no revision dates.
And I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving in seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. I apologize for playing hardball, but I changed my proposal, so now I'm a little bit more prepared.
So we'll, issue the order with specific requirements that must be done.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. Have a good night,
Thank you.
happy holidays.
Yes, you too.
See you.
Thank you, guys.
Five 586 Manley Street. We have a continued.
My name's Ed Jacobs, Jacobs Driscoll Engineering. Here before you a couple of weeks ago, 586 Manley Street. And there was discussion between John and Brad Holmes of ERC Engineer Restoration about a buffer protection plan. So we added that to this plan. That's what's shaded in yellow right here. And proposed buffer zone and riverfront management area. And we sent this plan to John earlier in the week. He had a chance to look at it. He made a couple of revisions, changed a couple of words around in the note. We added this large note at the top here, which basically explains about the mowing season, when the grass should get mowed, to most benefit the wildlife and the invasive species. And that's, as I understood it at our last meeting, what the board was looking for before they would vote positively for this.
John?
Yes, everything he says is correct. The report indicates that I support that, but that we would need to put the vegetation management plan as an agreement between the commission and the current landowner, and it will run with the property, so that if the current landowner sells it, they will, subsequent owners will be obligated to follow that agreement forever. I think it's a good plan. It's gonna enhance the area, where right now it's being disturbed on a regular basis. And it really doesn't work as well as undisturbed, non-agricultural farm field type of resource area. If it wasn't disturbed, would benefit the environment, but this is not benefiting it. The replication area will, and so I feel it's a good plan.
All right. Anybody have any other questions?
Oh,
Yes.
before you close anything, do you have the check for the,
All important check.
John, did you come up with agreement with the landowner on the type of planting that will take place? What sort of plants will go in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Hearing no more comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in
Nice to
favor?
work together.
Aye.
So moved.
It's nice to work together.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will entertain a motion to grant a waiver for the 50-foot for the replication work and vegetative management plan to be implemented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And a motion, I will entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for the project.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Nice job. All right.
this is only for $1.
A little more than that.
Whoops.
I guess so.
Continued hearing for 17 Pearl Road.
Yes,
I think we're all set now?
I think we're all set.
And he's got, there we go.
Yes.
Oh, the green
Yeah,
cards.
those
Yep. Perfect.
Got him.
We are good. All right. Well, now that everything's fully in order,
Do we have the plot plan? I think it's attached.
yeah, it's attached to the,
No, I'll let you guys take a look at the back.
there.
I've seen it, so you guys are.
Yeah. So you're looking to put a pool in?
I feel guilty about it after the earlier meeting. Here I am, 40,000 the other way, but, looking to put a pool in as it's laid out. That is, you know, if we turn the pool the perpendicular way to the house, we're out of the wetlands, but between some trees in my neighbor's yard, it's not optimal for use of a pool to turn it. So what you see is, you know, our ideal layout that catches appropriate afternoon sun. We're at 12 to 14 feet into the
100-foot
100-foot
buffer.
buffer.
No, is that for what? What's in that area?
So in that area is, you'll see it's probably 8 to 10 feet of pool, and then it's mapped out. The gray section is
stamped concrete or paver block. We haven't, you know, it's sort of cost is gonna determine what we do.
And it's an existing lawn right now.
It's existing lawn right now.
And what size pool? I mean,
It's mapped out for 16 by 32.
okay.
That would be at the largest size, freeform, so it's not it's not square, but it would be it's the same volume as a rectangular pool. So it may even go 1428, but it would still actually be further out of the wetland. That's the worst case situation.
And they have a conservation easement on the lot as it is, which protects the whole 50-foot no-touch buffer to the wetland. So they're well outside the 50-foot buffer, but as David indicated, they are about 12 feet into the 100-foot buffer from the wetlands. And he was trying originally to come into the office and show how he could stay out of it. And I had recommended that, other than he had to go through this process, that it would be better for him to do what's best for the property and not worry about having to file with the commission. And they said as long as he didn't encroach or damage the 50-foot buffer, that the commission would most likely feel that it's an approvable project.
So everything up to the 50 is what, grass?
It's all grass.
Lawn?
Yep.
Mowed?
Inside, yeah, everything up to the 50, there is it's on there is the deck. There is a deck, the typical not covered structure, it goes to the rock underneath. But there's everything from, what's there now is all grass to the 100, to the 50.
And you have a rain garden that's still in place on your property?
Yep. And the rain garden will still stay, they'll just redirect it, so the pipe as it is will have to go, that will have to move out. It'll have to just curve around the backside, so there's no change to the rain garden, aesthetically, it's actually very nice for the house, so.
All right. Anybody questions?
No,
All right. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Good luck.
Thank
And I
you.
will entertain a motion to issue in order of conditions.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
All righty.
Merry Christmas.
Now you can
Happy
start
holidays.
planning for spring groundbreaking.
Plan for contingencies, you never know. You never know. Thank you.
Yes, good night.
Have a good night.
No.
All right. And Luke Estates, I assume,
We received-
that's continued already, so we have 154 Lincoln Street.
We
800
should vote to continue the Lincoln.
Oh, I'll entertain,
Luke
yeah,
Estates, I'm sorry.
I'll entertain a motion to continue Luke Estates roadway and drive.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Continue to the next meeting.
All right, 54 Lincoln Street, in the building permit process,
150.
I'm sorry, 154 Lincoln Street. In the building permit process, the builder indicated that they were going to switch the position of the garage from the right side of the house, which was closest to the wetland, and they wanted to put the garage and driveway to the left of the house. And I said that even though it's a minor change, that it needs to be, according to special condition number 1, needs to be approved. So he filed the request, which I think I attached to your notes, where he explained it, and I'm recommending that the commission consider a minor project change.
Questions?
No.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to issue a minor project change approval.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
586 Manley Street, we received the document from Clean Energy, the solar people, who had to have finished up a replication area for a small wetland crossing they made, and it didn't work out well, so they had to replant, and it was so late in the year, and the primary reason for it not working well is during the spring, the whole area flooded and killed plants that are not used to being in water submerged, so they had to make some pit and mound type changes to it, and it needs to be observed and inspected in the spring to see if it worked. And they are posting $16,000 cash with a bank that's listed in the agreement, and the bank will not release the money until the commission is satisfied that it can be released, or if the solar, clean energy solar people did not want to finish the project, the commission could use the full $16,000 to hire a contractor to go in and do some plantings. I believe that the $16,000 is way over what it would actually cost to put some plants in there, so I think we're well protected. So I'm recommending that the commission sign the document, and I have it tonight for you to sign.
Is that something that the bank requires?
No, we required it, and
We required to put money aside?
we required a surety. They tried
Yeah.
using an insurance bond,
Yeah.
and I did not approve that, so I suggested that they either come in with the cash, or that they do it basically what we call a tri-party agreement, where the bank will hold the money.
So who came up with the 16,000?
They did, actually.
Wow.
I asked them for an
Okay.
estimate, and they came up with that. But that's for the full construction
True.
of the thing, is
But
if they had to
still,
start all over.
Right, if they had to do from
Yeah.
scratch.
No, that's good.
I think we're covered. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to sign the cash surety agreement.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. I think what we can do is skip that one and get into our, only because we have two people left here, and one, I'm sure, is here for the update on 225 South Street,
Yes.
which,
255.
225
Oh,
South Street, the
25,
fourth,
okay.
yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Yep.
All right.
And I can report that I did attend a ZBA hearing on that property, and did ask them what they planned on doing, and made sure that they were aware that there was a violation on the property, which they acknowledged they had one, and I don't know where we're at this point, because they haven't shown up to the office or here. John's report. Wonders if we need town council at this point.
Well, before we can discuss it, the abutter, one of the abutters to 225 South Street is here tonight, and reported earlier today that not only are they continuing to operate contrary to what the zoning board had indicated and the building inspector, but have come back what appears to be with a vengeance. And the situation is such that we're not getting any acknowledgement from the owner to even call to find out what's necessary or any questions on the enforcement action. And so, based on the call that I received and the past actions, there seems to be no sense in wasting time serving them with more enforcement orders. Just have the town council, if the selectmen will allow it, write a letter and suggest that if non-compliance continues, that there will be court action that will occur afterwards.
Yeah, the truck's still there, 'cause I won't.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's two of them
Oh,
tonight.
they're back, 'cause
They,
they
there's-
weren't there for a
Well,
while, right?
Like 2 weeks leading up to the initial meeting, they cleared everything out, because one of them had been unregistered.
Oh,
The one that's closest to the edge of the property had been sitting there probably for maybe 5 months, just sitting. And the other two were actively coming and going all the time, and then there's a fourth budget rental one that they park along the street, you know, every once in a while. But they had kinda cleared out, it was just the green one. But they were still parking the green one in that area that's now like turned into mush. And, then after the meeting, today, I got home from work and one was already there. And then I went to pick up one and I saw the other one going. And it's like, they're just going right back to their normal business. And I mean, I'm just frustrated because it's been going on since the summertime. And I understand everything has to happen in an order. But like I called today and was like, I'm just frustrated because I'm following the rules, you know, I'm paying my taxes. I have 2 kids. I love that they can go out in the front yard, but now I'm not as easy to let them out. I mean, they have a pit bull that they chain up outside that barks all night. They must keep it in the truck when they're doing their work, but then it just gets chained up. It's licensed and everything like that, but they've said when they first been like, you know, don't go near it, it'll bite you, like this and that and the other thing. So it's like, okay, so I've got that. You know, it's not a contained backyard, it's just tied up to something in the back. I mean, from the street, when I go to get my mail, I see piles and piles of trash and pallets all behind their house. They do work on the trucks just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
right there.
Yeah.
They had the whole front end of the green truck, the tires and everything off, up on jacks, and it sat there for like 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know, I can't say with any certainty that anything's leaking, but I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, the trucks that are sitting for months and months at a time, you know, the moisture's coming up, they've gotten stuck, it's just, and I mean, I think the real bottom line is, you know, I'm paying to live in this town, cause I grew up in this town. I love that it's quiet. I love that you can kinda just send your kids out still here. But now it's like, this is my daily reality. I get up and I sit in the living room and I get my morning coffee, I go to work at about 5 o'clock, so I'm up early. I have a big picture window right here. Every morning, both of those trucks start up, and where are their headlights?
Yeah.
Right in my picture window. And they let them run for about 15 minutes. I get it, it's cold, but I didn't buy my house across the street from
It's
the
not a
trucking
commercial
company.
trucking zoned
And
area.
that's
They-
my issue.
Yeah.
You
What's your
know,
street number, sir?
228.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, the drivers, they mentioned it in the meeting, they have 4 trucks, so they have about 8 workers that are coming and going. I know they live there when they're working, cause the cars don't leave. Then when the truck, you know what I mean? And I'm at the end of it, so now I've gotta follow this all the way. I'm finding out more and more information, I'm getting more involved, but I want something to be done as far as just not something in the mail or, cause they're not responding like they said, like nothing's
I
changing.
mean,
I had to put rocks along my front yard because they were pulling into my yard to make the turn to back into their yard. And I had asked them, like, stay off my lap, you know, don't drive on my yard, don't drive, and nothing. And I mean, that's a hassle for me, you know what I mean? I don't wanna have to deal with it with the plow guys and everything else, but it's the last resort.
no, I would recommend we get in touch with the selectmen for approval for town council at this point. I think it's gone up to that.
Reached that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah,
sounds like.
it needs to get addressed. I mean, need a motion?
Before you do that, I would strongly recommend that you bring this to the attention of the Board of Selectmen so that they're aware of your problem. And I believe there's a forum at each meeting where you are able to do such a thing.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion we request from the selectmen and town council.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. And
Thank you, gentlemen, I
I'm
appreciate it.
hoping,
I'll keep following up, like I said, I mean, I've got pictures and everything's documented, so if there's anything I can do, please.
be nice to
you
see
know
some
where
Jersey
to-
barriers put across the front of their yard,
Or
and then they
just
can't park there.
Just some giant trees to block, I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't know. But thank you very much for
Those
your time.
pictures may come in handy in the future, so hold on.
I still have them all, I brought more here, so if you do need them, if you want these, you can have these, it's on a, this is just what I see day to day. That's me driving up to my house, this is what I see, so there's 3 here, this one, this is the budget one that they park this way, and then there's 2 this way. You can have them.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. Want to do 457 South Main Street?
Man,
Doing our informal discussion.
yes, sir.
That way there we can
That way you,
get, I believe we have a new set of plans, which is one here. And
thank you for working with us. And I do note that they were on Clinton Road, when we did Clinton Road, we did make us put an advanced system. So we're waiting to see how that was gonna go.
Depends on who you are, I guess.
Yeah, no, we ended up from the jet system or not.
Yeah.
So, as you may recall, last time we were here, the first sheet is the existing condition. As you may recall, when I came here back in 2 weeks ago, we did discuss with the commission about the taking care of the invasive species and then planting some bush of the low berries, and that's on sheet number 2. But before we go to sheet number 2, we looked at the area on the west side. Yeah, west side of the existing stone wall behind the rear building, and thanks, John. Behind the rear building,
the backside.
and we had
Yep.
Okay, so we had Miss Pam, Miss, oh boy, Miss Brooke Monroe, she goes by Pembroke Consultant. Flag, go back and revisit our wetlands, and she noted that she flagged it based on vegetation because the source wasn't really present. But I also noted, if you look at that existing stream, it's really not a real stream. It's dug out, and sometimes people create their own problems. And back those days, they didn't know they were gonna create their own problems, because that property was all owned by the same people. And then they cut out the Miskinis to sell to the dealership. And so when they built Miskinis, they dug that trench. And but if you look at it, it really doesn't have any. The origin starts from that parking lot. That's where it starts, from that parking lot. Okay, that's the extent of that stream. But anyway, it is what we now have. What we're hoping to do is define, as I intimated to the commission last time, would like to not pave, okay, but create a gravel area that would allow cars and the trucks for the tenants to be able to pull out from their bays and then turn around while any other vehicle that's coming can indeed have space to work with. Now, that stone wall that you have there is a gravity stone wall, but it's been there for ages, and it provides a real physical barrier to the BVW. what we're asking is to allow us to put a gravel. I've shown on the second sheet, I've included a detail of that gravel of support, so that you will see how it's gonna look. I have the Mass Highway specifications for it, and then I put a liner underneath it, so on the left side. If you look on the detail here, open up some more. No, this detail right here, that's for the parking. This detail here is for the parking. So we also had a discussion, the other detail it's more of a crushed stone for drainage. Remember, we talked about reestablishing the apron over here, this apron right here. Okay, we talked about reestablishing this apron right here, so that it's functioning. So what I've done in that detail that I show on the right side, which will be this detail here, is I'm putting a fabric so that stone will be contained in the fabric, and then you wouldn't be able to get a root system growing through it. And then it will allow the water to percolate down and then flow, disperse. So overland dispersal right here. And so I think, and that detail also I've used at several locations, and it works very good. And even if it gets dirty, you wouldn't be doing excavation. You pull it from the liner, dump it, put another stone. So it makes for a lot easier maintenance on an ongoing basis.
The new wetland line that
Yes.
Brooke did,
Yeah.
how different was that from Walter's line?
It's different from, if you look at it, I don't know if you have your record here.
the last one.
Yes, so if you
It
turn
looks pretty close.
it looks very close, but look at where the wall is and relative to the, yeah,
Here's
see
the line
this,
that she's had, and this here's where the end of the parking lot
Yeah,
was, where the
that's-
50-foot was. So the
Right.
original parking lot, 50-foot ended here.
yes. If
in
you
the
can- but
original
see-
line.
Yeah, but see the line is right on the edge of the parking. So that's the difference. The line is right up against the edge of the parking.
Right, the
Where's the-
50-foot line. This is your 50-foot line right here, correct?
Yeah, this is my 50-foot line right here.
Right,
This
this
one
one
here,
here.
yeah.
And the original
she-
50-foot was right here.
Right, but look at the dip on this side here.
Right,
You
the
gotta
dip
put that-
came back a little
Right.
on this,
Right.
this end over here, but
Right,
the original end, at this point, the closest point,
Right,
was pretty
right.
much,
right.
I mean, it was off a little, but
But over here, it's the difference here.
And that stone wall, it's been there?
Oh, yeah, the stone wall,
Yeah, it's been
it's
there.
an old stone wall.
Okay,
Yeah, you've got all the moss, yeah.
good way to butt it.
Yeah. So
and this recharge area that's shown is
So-
in, that's
that is
in
existing.
place,
That is
existing.
correct, that is existing. On the first sheet shows it better. So what I do with my plans, I give you the existing on the first sheet, but then on the second sheet, I screen it, so that you can see what is proposed versus what's existing.
And it's gonna stay there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We're not doing any work here. We just wanna, clean this area here and put a ground, yes. And I know, Mr. Anderson, last time Lee, you put up, you go, well, it was tight, but but
What
what
do you-
happens is, once you start using a place, you get tenants,
The
What are you
building's that big in the
proposing?
first place.
What are you proposing for replication for work in the 50? I mean, if you're gonna fill this gravel and do all this work within the 50-foot,
yeah.
Ain't doing that all.
I mean, we're already letting you clean up all this
Well,
area
right,
here.
and-
Where have you got left to do
No,
any?
we're not doing any more work. This is it. We're not gonna add any more. This
Right, but I'm
allows
saying-
to use-
If we're gonna allow you to do this,
Yes, sir.
where's the replication for this gonna
Well, I'm
go?
hoping that we can, right on the other side of the wall, what's my north arrow here? So on the west side of the wall, give you a nice row of evergreen, red maples, and interspersed
But
with.
that's within the 50.
Hmm?
That's within the 50.
Oh, yeah, but they're not there right now. So like over
Right.
here, so what I'm saying is over here where we don't have the wetlands vegetation. We'll plant right through here, wetlands vegetation, on this side right here.
The drainage and replication basin that's down at the end
Yeah, this basin here.
is smaller than the original?
No, this is just the outfall. This is just the outfall of it. Okay, yeah, this, if you look over here, the way the contours go, Jim, this is the contours right here.
Right, but I'm saying this outflow
Yes,
is smaller than the original outflow that was designed on the original plan, that was approved.
well, but that's how it is right now. But this is the area that, we.
That you propose to put the outflow.
Right.
Because it hasn't been constructed yet.
To clean up.
And my understanding was this separator, this filtration area that was here,
That's the one.
didn't get put there because it was left gravel
and that's
instead
gravel,
of
That's
pavement.
right. And actually, it works much better right now.
Because the proposed that you have here,
Yeah.
at least these two look considerably smaller than what we had approved originally on our original plan. These gravel
The gravel aprons.
swale apron,
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
compared to what we had originally approved.
Yeah, but this, you see this here though?
I mean, I'm just having trouble working within the 50 foot without a replication.
Yeah, no, so we can never give you, because over here, we are way outside the 50. So like over here, we can give you a nice planting area.
You mean over here?
Yes,
Like
put some
in-
wetlands vegetation there where there's no wetlands. And they create a where Peter Mount, John, like over here, we can create a where Peter Mount of topography right in here. So additional rotation,
I mean-
plant a few,
This is poor design. This should have been done.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this
Told you
this
that.
should have been done from the beginning. I mean,
Told
this
you.
is, I'm going to tell you right
They
now,
shouldn't have built that.
I'm an advocate of this 50-foot no touch for
Yeah.
new construction, and this
Yeah.
was new construction.
Yeah.
Unless you show me something that's going to knock my socks off, I
Well, now,
mean,
why would I want to knock your socks off and make you?
because I want to go barefoot right now, and I want to walk in that wetland barefoot. This
Knock
is,
my shoes off and knock his socks off.
I mean, you're going into the 50 on a new construction that already didn't meet the requirements of the original permit. Show me something.
No, well, so that's why we're proposing not to pave that, okay? Make it a nice gravel area that's will filter more water. But I definitely think that over here, right in this area where you already see that is, if you get our junk growing in here, we can actually clean this area up.
Nothing's growing there because there's a giant pile of fill sitting there right now.
Well, no, but that, Tim, this field's over here. I'm talking over here, like all through in here. Okay, this is existing crap that's growing through in here. So we can clean this area up for you. Clean this area up here, okay? Do some additional planting here. Do some nice planting right in here to enhance that area. But put something also that will not be invasive.
John, what do you got?
Well, we have an approved plan, which I think is the one that you're looking at over there, and that's the one that's on,
You guys want to take a look?
the
That's what we're,
architect's
that's what's supposed to be there, is this here.
So, because of the differences, I would recommend that they amend the order, which would require a new public hearing, notification of abutters.
Yeah. Right, and then they would have been able to make it behind it without.
I mean, I got no problem with it, you
And not have to come back to do work within the 50.
See, I don't understand why they do
Killing
that.
me. You're killing me, Lee.
I don't know if they just like that other one there. I just don't.
Yeah, but we knew where the
understand.
50 foot was. I mean, this area here, this 50 foot didn't change from Brook. It didn't change from Walter. I mean, this area here, yeah, we could work with you over here. But I'm looking at this saying, we've known from day one that this was a 50 foot no touch. And now all of a sudden you're wanting us to go
Is there
38 feet?
A bay there.
overhead doors there, bay doors there for trucks to back in? Is that
No,
what it is?
Because that's where they store do their see what happens is.
It's
if
detail,
they start- If they start storing stuff outside, you know what's gonna happen, someone's gonna say, whoa, wait a minute here, you're starting something that can leak out, you know?
But this
So
is
that's
what, for detailing? The detail shop?
What's in there?
There is a detail shop there.
Okay, but on the backside, I mean, what do you store on the
The
backside?
two bays are detail shops, and then we have, landscaper.
Okay,
So they
landscaper.
need a little bit more overrun, that's what this is all about.
So what's, from the building to the edge of the pavement right now, how many feet is there?
Oh, it's only like 18, 20 feet.
And what kind of trucks are they doing?
Well,
Just,
it's a little bit more than that, but the trucks, you know, nowadays, the trucks need more room.
so they got a truck and a trailer.
There's no room for that right now.
So, no, I'm not trying to say anything. So knowing this, why is there a landscaping company in there if they can't work properly out of the building the right way without not being able to get their vehicles and trailers and trucks around?
Try to make it more convenient for them, so. Mr. Chairman, if I may, may I speak?
Yep.
I was under the impression at our last couple of meetings that we were gonna talk about this as a minor modification, and we had a site visit. Everything, it seemed to me like you approved most everything except for what we were proposing now on the backside of the building.
Yeah, the front, we really, I think,
End up good.
yeah, I mean, it's, considering what didn't happen and what was supposed to happen, I don't think this is a huge problem in the way it's working out, and having a management plan to take care of the invasive plants, that's fine. It's this part here that we're
So you sent
kinda,
this away at the last meeting to get the wetlands line refigured.
yeah.
And so we can come back with something more on paper that you could see. If it's something that you're looking for, give and take, we do have some more uplands in here that I'm not gonna be using. So we could trade off some space here for basically the rest of the uplands in this area here, if that's something that you could work with.
Would it be this size, that amount up there?
It's just, I have a hard time grasping this because we should have done this at the beginning,
No,
not
no,
as a minor modification after the fact. It's like now our hands are tied.
No,
You
no,
need this
no,
to
no,
do with
your hands are-
your business, and we've already
So-
approved a plan that isn't meeting
Yeah.
what we're supposed to.
But they didn't know you didn't know what kind of business it was.
Right, right.
I
You know-
agree with you, but sometimes you can't predict what's gonna happen, and this is
That's
exactly what's
No,
happening.
to your point.
That's true.
Those businesses shouldn't be there.
That's what I just.
Find somebody else that's a better
And I'm not
tenant
saying
for the
anything
fit.
bad,
I
but
mean,
I'm just saying,
it's
that's
just-
the thing
I-
that you gotta look at.
No, but here's the thing though, okay? Well, we all work. I mean, nobody sits down and gets something dumped on your lap free, you know? You wish you can wave a magic wand and get the proper, exact kind of tenants, but at the end of the day, you have the building, you gotta pay your taxes, whether somebody's there or not, you still gotta pay the taxes. It's not your problem, and and I will give you that, it's not your headache. But at the end of the day, this is where we are. If you knew exactly what tenants that you're gonna have and sign that were a 30-year lease before you put up the building,
Oh, then it'd be something
then
different.
to your point, I did a project in, you know where southeastern post office is? On Route 138, okay? When we did that, before they put the shovel in the ground, the southeastern post office used to be near where the dentist is now, near Wendy's, on 138, heading towards Stoughton. When they found this site, they signed a 25-year lease before we started doing the design. So when we did the design, we did it to work for the post office. But in this case, yeah, you didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? So I do think, if I may, and over here, right here, we have plenty of room. We can give you 2-to-1.
Not looking at this plan, because you've already given us the replication area right back here.
Yep.
This has already become
Yeah,
the new 50-foot, which goes through here.
but it go through here, but it's still, I'm talking over here. If you look at this here,
That's all you've got to work with. That little
'Cause
finger
all-
right there.
Cause all the rest is in within the 50.
How about what I have on the other side? Take some of this back in here.
Oh, the upland right there?
yeah,
I'm not looking at this as a minor modification anymore. I mean,
Well,
I'm trying to get through with a small modification to fit this in, and now we're replicating on the other side of,
Well, but the site is tight, so I'm trying to, give a little.
What about here, okay, see this whole area? We're not talking about clearing here, this is your 50 feet, even with this wetlands here. This is your 50, so we can open up this whole area here, and make that all wetlands. But use the species that are not gonna be invasive, so we can create that whole area, this whole area here up front, this whole area
We're
right
just gonna
here.
get this amount, at least be
And open
replicated
that up.
somewhere
I mean-
on this, not over here.
This is the area I'm talking about, out in front, right here,
No.
you
I
know?
mean, this area here.
Yes.
Well, some of that's open already, because it's,
Yeah.
The sign's there and, yeah.
No, but, right, it's open, but it doesn't, it's not function as wetlands right now, but we can create that as a wetlands area.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we can, it's not function as
It's
wetlands.
not a
area.
retention area or anything like that?
No,
No,
it's just a
no.
It's just an open,
open grassy.
Yeah, so we can create that as wetlands, so that it's functioning as part of your wetland system. But use our, like, high bush blueberries and some of the florals that we have here, put a couple of our red maples there. And then that can function as, because at the end of the day, that's all part of the same wetland system. And then after we do those planting, out in the back over here, we can put your wetlands markers, so that at the end of the day, you have those permanent markers that are tied, surveyed and tied to the property. So your agent, who's also, you're blessed with an agent that's also a surveyor, he can always check that out and retrieve it.
What's the potential use of anything back here?
No, we try to way back, go to the Board of Appeals, because that's residential. So
Right.
we can't, they will not allow, they definitely will not allow us going through the industrial to residential, so.
what's, how do you get out there? What's that, is that
We're not-
a,
we're
That was never built, they just,
Right,
but that was like a proposed.
right, that was a proposal that
Right.
we had looked at, and then,
we're not going over there,
right, and so it just basically ended
yeah.
off the back.
'Cause you- yeah,
was the
'cause you're
final
going over a
approved,
stretch
right.
of,
Yeah.
well, put it this way, even this part over here,
Yeah,
it's residential,
yeah. And we can't get to it.
but you can't get to it.
Right,
So so it's kinda, it's useless.
Oh, well, it's not useless, you mean, that you can go out there without doing passive recreation, without doing any digging and any of that stuff. But, I mean, we can give you, so if we replicate over here, we can make that a conservation area, so that you have the ability to
Yeah,
monitor it.
but the passive recreation is gonna have to go through this property.
Yeah, but then you don't do any approvals for that through the Board of Appeals.
Yeah,
So
but
you
you're not gonna want people not driving, but I mean, walking just
Walking.
for the heck of it.
I mean, it
Anytime
doesn't really
you
connect
want.
to anything else we already have either,
No, I
so I
know.
mean, the only advantage would be to put a restriction or an easement on that, so it wasn't developed or
Later on.
future use or whatever, but I mean, it, this is all
I would,
conceptual, so that's why we're discussing this, to
Yeah,
throw things
yeah,
out, guys, so
yeah.
if you got anything,
if you could try to find out how big this area is,
and how much is
to-
left
how
over
much is left over
here.
here compared to what is here.
Yeah. Well, like right now, I mean, it don't even have to be a surveyor or an engineer to look at it. This area right here, this triangular piece over here is already more than this, right here. So we're done, definitely. Well, you're gonna, what's left over here plus this
Well, when
here.
you start adding all of this area,
No, but this is already outside, that's what I'm saying.
right, this is
already
outside, but when you
So-
take this and all of this,
Well, that's what I'm saying, all
Right.
of this right
and
here.
figure out,
If you take this area here, okay, if you take this area right here, this area right here,
The little area.
Yeah.
which, if you
Which
look
is
at it,
Yeah.
as a- that's, this, basically,
Little triangle.
you've got a little triangle that's
well,
outside of that.
plus, real triangle, plus this area here though. You're just talking Detroit,
Right,
this
but
area is
I-
outside. So if I give you this area here, plus that area, that's more than that. It's absolutely more than that. So you see
And
where.
we're gonna need a vegetative management plan added to that as well.
Right, that's, we can do that. But you see what I'm saying? So when you're looking at this triangular piece, you're looking at
Right.
an area that is outside this line, but we're talking this whole area here. I mean, believe me, you don't have to be an engineer surveyor to know that those two are a lot, definitely more than that.
We were looking at 2 to 1, I thought was what we were talking
It sure
about.
helps if you are one, though.
Yeah. I mean, I just,
My recommendation is that it needs to be amended, a new plan approved, and with all of these things that are informally being discussed conceptually, and then the commission can vote.
And then put it in form of an order.
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of changes.
I would say,
A lot of stuff that wasn't built that was on the original that was supposed to be.
give the square
Um,
footage.
Whether it is a good thing or a bad thing, it still should have been done along the way, and we should have known about it, and it should have been addressed
No, it's
at the
that-
time. I mean,
Well,
eliminating the asphalt, getting rid of the detention
Yeah.
basins, changing those, the whole 3. I mean, it's,
How long has this been here?
5 years.
5 years
Mr.
already?
Chairman,
Jeez.
I'm telling you the truth. Should I could have, knowing that I'm pretty good in science, should have been a doctor.
yeah. I should be on the space
You
station.
know, you know what I'm saying? I should have been a doctor. And I will be retired by now instead of still trying to make a buck.
Well, you're earning it on this one.
Well, I really wish see, Bob is a very good friend of mine, and I want to be able to put it more like in doing the work, you know? So there's a lot of shoulda, coulda have, you know? It's just that, yep, and he didn't come here, we haven't come here saying, hey, we deserve this. We're just saying this is where we are. The actual usage now dictates what we need. Unfortunately, we didn't have the tenants originally, you know? Wish we did.
We
but
already got
didn't.
beat up, we already got beat up pretty bad earlier. Kind of look a little, to my opinion, but
No, but we're not trying to do that here at all.
I would
That's,
say try
I
to
mean,
get
that's what
square
we're
footage of
talking about,
this.
something that has
See
to
what this
quality.
and that
Yeah, let's see what it is. And
Take
if
the
it's
square
doubled it,
footage, see what this and that is, if it's doubled or if it's more, which is better.
Oh, it will be
It
more.
helps.
I guarantee you that it will be more.
Get the, I would say, get the square footage of that complete and see what it is. And go from there,
you guys have anything?
cause it'll
No.
help.
Can I ask a question?
Yep, yep.
I may have asked this before, but if you're looking for a trade-off of square footage, and let's say the calculation doesn't get us the square footage that we're looking to expand in the back, would you entertain?
No, what we're talking now about, it's not this area. We're talking this area in the 50 foot.
Yeah, I know,
That's what, not this area here.
I know, but that area that you shaded on that plan, if we can't find any other wetlands on the business side, can we look at that parcel in the back that's landlocked? Would you entertain that?
But then you gotta get it over there with the equipment. And it's gonna be crossing lines. We'll do over here.
Yeah, I think you're looking, this area and this area here might be the better.
Yeah.
Cause then you're gonna be disturbing the wetlands
Yeah,
to get over.
yeah,
Yeah.
get over there, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, come up with the numbers and see square footage wise where we can get, I mean. I'd think about it. I mean, I just.
Think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know where this is conceptual, but I was just,
Yeah, in the spirit of what we, remember now, we are in the spirit of giving. This is December.
oh, then we went 3 to 1, guys, right? 3 to 1?
So much.
No, I'm talking about them giving. As allowing,
Hey,
allowing.
what about Christmas miracles?
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Are you guys okay with what's going on here? And it's just basically a discussion limited
Yeah,
to what's going on here
that's
tonight?
what Tim said a little earlier.
This is
Yeah,
okay
coming up
what we
with
talked
a
about
management
before?
plan to get those invasives out and cleaning it up and getting it, and getting where you can work around the edge, yeah, I don't think we have a problem with
Yeah,
that. I mean,
that
it's-
was last meeting or the previous time.
Yeah.
We said give it evasive.
Yeah.
And
So,
again,
so
to you-
that part would, I think we're good with.
To your
It's,
question about the use of the building,
Mhm.
it was built as a contractor's bay building.
And unfortunately, you know, in this business, you can't pick and choose tenants. If you get someone who wants to pay your rent,
No, I
you put them
understand.
in there,
Yeah.
and you pay your bills, you know.
It
that's
just,
the-
it's kinda, you feel bad for you getting into that predicament though, too.
Well, then you fight to keep them, because if they don't have enough room, they're gonna
True.
go someplace else.
No, I
So
understand.
We wanna keep the building full of occupants.
True.
Or else I can't afford to do the work, so.
No. What happens if you couldn't do it? Couldn't get that full, what would happen?
Then it's
Fall
true.
back on my taxes, and, you know, that's,
Then you have to get rid of it, right?
that's not
But
that
see,
easy.
No, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that, I'm just saying,
Perfect world.
that's true, but I'm just trying to think of some other things that have been
It
happening.
would be, if it was that easy, I'd be a builder, not an engineer either.
I know,
You know
I'm
what
just
I'm
saying,
saying?
I know,
Yeah.
no,
The,
we don't
um,
want that to happen.
Yeah,
but-
The only usage for this is basically turning radius.
yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be
Pull out-
storage or
pull out-
stockpiling or
Oh, no, no, no,
landscape
no, no, no,
materials
no, no.
I mean,
or.
you can do that as a permanent,
There may
in
be,
perpetuity.
trailers parked there, but I would not put anything that has gasoline or oil on there. You can make that a restriction if you like. But, you know, if I wanna park a trailer there for overnight, you know, something that doesn't have a motor in it, that's the whole idea.
True. No, what was the whole thing with the snow situation? Snow removal, like snow piling,
That's where it's gonna go.
that's where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna have a space.
No, but how many landscape contractors work doing landscaping in
They're
the
gonna be,
winter?
they're gonna be pushing it,
Yeah, they're not gonna be
pushing it,
doing it,
pushing it.
they're not gonna be doing landscaping work in the
It
winter.
gets tight back there in the snow.
So-
in the
so that's a,
snow
uh,
You're gonna be in
storms,
trouble.
Cause everything is piled back on the asphalt now, so
No,
it's
I know.
very tight.
All right, yeah, see what you got for things, and as
Square
John said, I think we're,
About all we can do.
Yeah, again, I think it needs to be formally amended, so send a letter with revised plans, requesting an amended order. We'll require a new advertising, new abutter notification, and then we can amend the order.
Okay. Okay, so, just so that I don't go, I'd love to spend this money doing the work, but just to be, you know, just to be fair, if in fact I can find that area, does that sound like a reasonable trade-off?
I think that's what the only one you got.
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's,
I'd be a little happy about it.
yeah, I mean,
We are.
Well, but
finding
it's-
as much of it that you can to
Okay.
mitigate with it,
Okay.
and,
So is this plan sufficient on those calculations in those new areas?
Well, we're gonna show the new area, yeah, and the specifications.
Hmm.
Thank you.
but I think we're getting there.
Okay.
It's, I mean, yeah, you're stuck. I mean, it's,
Yeah, so, I can get the work done this week here. What are we looking at for the ability to get on, advertise that, get on your neck? We will write a letter requesting an amended order.
It's, the 16th of January
January.
is the, I don't think that's the right one.
I got the, I don't know how to use this stupid form. They tell you it's a smartphone, but they never told you that the user needs to be smart too.
16th is gonna be the
the
second.
second one in
Second one in
January.
January.
Otherwise, it would be
Right, the
February 6th.
No.
And in order
Oh,
to.
we're not doing January 2nd?
No, we got January 2nd, but I don't think it's gonna,
That's too
we
far.
won't make notification time
No,
and
if we
post
don't
it.
advertise it.
So it'd be the
okay, all right,
16th or the 6th.
Wait a minute, when is the meeting in January, the first meeting in January?
Second.
Would be the 2nd.
January 2nd?
Yeah.
So these would have to be in by the 2nd in order for us to give you a public hearing for the 16th.
No, today is the 19th,
Yeah.
okay? 5 business days,
No, we've already advertised for the 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the holidays, they couldn't get us any, what am I trying to say? People who have brought in their plans.
oh, okay.
Couldn't get onto the 2nd
Okay.
because they can't get it advertised enough time. How do you start this up again? Oh, okay. Oh. Go Bruins.
Now, question for you. Is it a question of getting it advertised? If I can get it advertised, would I book it then, or no?
No, we do the advertising.
Oh, okay.
You only have one meeting in January.
No, we have the 2nd and the
Second and the
16th.
16th.
So we could do it for the 16th.
That's fine.
I mean, we have time
I
to,
mean,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
So get it in by the 2nd.
Oh, no,
Latest.
you will get it next
Yeah.
week.
Thank you.
so if it's here next week, we'll have time to get it
No,
on
no,
for the
you'll be in
16th.
here
and
next
then-
week, believe me.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be here
Yeah.
next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your patience, really, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Merry Christmas,
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah, if you're not celebrating Christmas. But I celebrate Christmas, so I say, yeah, Merry
Yes,
Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
I'll do happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
All right, see you later. Thank you again.
Okay, going back up, we have to take the vote for the 2018 officers in meeting schedule, which, I don't know whether Kitty put the whole packet in front of everybody, which I believe you did. I don't have a problem with the meeting schedule. July 17th would be our only July meeting, because we only typically do one in July. Anybody else want to look for chair or vice chair?
No.
I guess by default, that means we're stuck.
It's okay, I'd rather have you, because you can't work around.
Alrighty, then I'll take and entertain a motion that we leave the chair and vice chair as current.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I will entertain a motion, we use the meeting dates as Kitty put in our packets.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. We're good with those.
Any goals that you'd like the commission to reach?
Make sure we
Getting
keep getting
home.
out of here at 9 o'clock or earlier.
That's a good goal. Okay, I'll write that down.
I think we should just keep consistency on all the new stuff that's
Right,
coming in.
kinda.
Try to keep, even with the hard situations, do our best.
Yeah, I mean, it, come in with some mitigation to begin with, we might have looked at it differently, but there wasn't any,
Yeah,
at
but
least on
that's,
that one, but,
5 years ago was, I can't believe it was 5 years ago. I mean, that's big
Oh, on
difference.
this one here?
yeah.
Big difference from 5 years ago to now, or even like from last year, within the 4 years from what, the different things that we've been
Approving and,
proving and sticking to it. I mean, so far so good, I think.
model airplane update?
As my report indicated, I've got an actual insurance policy that was issued to the benefit of Hasiotis, who was the former owner. I asked the club members, the president of the club, to get a copy of that so that once town council started reviewing this in earnest, that I'm kind of suspecting that the town council would like to see what the insurance is. So I tried to sort of preempt another delay in that so that I can turn that over to town administrator who will pass it on to town council. So we're making some progress, I think, but I know there's a lot of things going on with the town for different things that are going on with union negotiations, that kind of thing. So this isn't the priority at this point of a limited amount of time. So hopefully that will come to a conclusion, although budget season's about ready to start and that takes a lot of time. So I'll see what I can do and I'll keep you updated.
All right. I think we just have signature stuff to do left.
Yes. The tab is for the clean energy cash surety agreement between Clean Energy, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission, and the Equitable Bank, which is, address is at 744 Broad Street in Weymouth. And it's that tab there. The next is a minor project change for 154 Lincoln Street. And it requires all members. And last is the order of conditions for the DEP 328-739 David Flynn's pool.
And I think there are 3 invoices to sign as well in your packet.
First one is Adrian, and it's for the nameplates that we, not nameplates, I'm sorry, that's what it says on here, but it's the signs for the conservation markers. And we had to get a new supply, and so that's the first one. Second one is for WB Mason for office supplies, which include the desk calendars and wall calendars. And last is Schwab Incorporated, a office supplier that supplies the ink pads for the receipt stampers. A couple of them did get kind of dry.
And
I have, it's not on the agenda listed as anything, but I received a email from the copier supply, copier company, that we need to, now that the warranty period is over, we need to decide whether we want to have a maintenance contract for the year. And I don't have the exact number, because they're gonna give me an estimate, but I'm anticipating that it's less than $200 for the year, and the hourly rate for the technician to come out to do any cleaning, if we're starting to get blemishes on the copies, we'll chew that $200 up in no time flat. So at the next meeting, I'll have an accurate number, and then the commission can decide if you want to spend that money out of the budget. So other than that, I have nothing else.
It'd be money well spent, John, believe me.
yeah.
Believe me.
How much money do we have in the budget?
We're still doing pretty good with office supplies. We are going to eventually owe somewhere around $900 for the 5 tablets when they come in, so we have to leave some room for that, but we're doing pretty good on the budget. I can give you an exact number at the next meeting, so why don't I put that as a,
Did you pursue the intern that we were talking about last time for filling in for Kitty?
no, we haven't. Just to give you an update on Kitty, she will be working less than the full days while she's trying to recuperate from some of her treatments. So we may have to do that, because
Okay.
if things stay about the way they are right now, I might be able to keep up with it. But if it doesn't, then it gets busy, we get inundated very
You-
quickly.
You must have been busy, busy, John, believe me.
So, you know, I think that's something that we still have from basically 6 months to use an intern, and we may have to use an intern, but
The intern be paid?
yes. There's a $5,000 line item for the salary of an intern. So, that was based on the full fiscal year using it. So we're not gonna hire someone for 6 months and spend the 5,000. It would be roughly at a rate of 20 or less per hour for an intern.
So would, how long do you figure for maybe not a year or? 6 months?
It would have to be used before the end of the fiscal year, so 6 months.
Oh, okay, all right. So,
So
that's right.
we'll see where that goes.
Anybody
If
else,
I- If I
anything?
don't need to spend it, I don't want to.
Right. Anything else?
If you don't spend it, you lose it, John.
Well, we will, but it goes back to
The general fund, and
Yeah, true.
they appreciate that every
Yeah.
so often.
And then just
Then
get
it's
back to
gone.
next year.
And it's gone after that, so.
well, we'll ask for it again, but we have reasons why it wasn't used this year, so hopefully that will
Yeah.
go,
So we could just put it back into ours. Can't do that?
no, unfortunately.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We're done.
John, is there any way next